everyone, to our last Sunday in April, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Leesburg. I'm Tamara, and I'm the president of our Leadership Council. Our theme for this year is Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision, and our focus this month is Stepping into the Unknown. The title of our talk today is Stepping Out, Stepping Up. I can't wait to find out what that's all about, and that will be given by our spiritual director, Charlene Banks. We're so glad that you joined us here today. Please get comfortable, relax into this moment as we begin our service. Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be of service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is. Please feel free to add to the chat or in the comments any prayer requests or celebrations that you would like to have included later in our service when we have our affirmative prayer called Spiritual Mind Treatment. And now we move into our time of meditation with Charlene.
Thank you, Tamara. Always so beautiful when you open up our sacred space. So, welcome to the final Sunday in April. That month went by pretty fast. So, what we do now is we're just going to center in. We like to start each service off with a short meditation because we realize that some of us, this is the only time to really just sit and quiet our mind. So we just take 5 to 7 minutes or so and just really connect with the inner divine. So taking a deep grounding breath, if you're willing, just close your eyes. Breathing in and exhaling. The breath. When we focus on our breath, we are in the present moment. Each breath anchors us back into the now. We allow these singing bowls to vibrate or to call our own bodies to vibrate in harmony with these sounds. Just slowing down. Becoming still. Now, in your mind's eye, if you're willing, imagine there's a candle flickering a bit in the movement of the air around it. Just that dancing flame. As we breathe in and out. Now imagine a child approaches this candle. She is careful, for she has her own small candle, and she will light it from this flame. She leans the wick into the flame and carefully pulls it away. Now there are two flames. And she sets the candle down into the sand that's around it. And she walks away. Imagine approaching another child, a boy, following the steps of his sister. He lights his candle from this flame and places it in the sand around the candle. And we look at the beauty that one flame is now multiplied into 3. Which flame is bigger? They're all the same. In your mind's eye, call forth an individual that you feel connected to. It could be a parent, a grandparent, an ancestor, a child, your child. Allow them in your mind's eye to light their flame from this candle, the center candle. Now allow allow them to gently place that candle in the sand around the big one. And breathe. And I invite you to allow the space for this lighting of the candle ceremony to just be there for you anytime you need it. Just know that you, your divine spark, who you are on this planet, is a light in the world from which others can receive the spark of joy, never diminishing your candle, never diminishing your flame. When you share your spark, you allow others to light theirs. And so as we give thanks for this journey that we just went on, I am knowing that each and every one of us within the sound of my voice is aware of their divine spark, aware of their specialness in this world, and aware of our connection and impact on each other and on our planet. I invite you to move your feet around if you want. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. Allow the flames to continue to burn as you return your attention into this very room in which you sit. Gently open your eyes. Gently look around and give thanks. And so it is. And here's a song from Leah.
Good morning, CSL Leesburg. I'm pleased to be with you this morning. And I hope that you'll sing this song along with me. We'll repeat it a few times. I'll add some other voices in. But it's been one of my favorite mantras to sing in the last year, when I have learned very clearly that I can't control the details, but I can trust. I can trust the flow. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water and let go. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Ride with the flow. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. It's alright. Let go. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Rider, we enjoy the ride. Drop the oars in the water, children. Drop the oars in the water, children. Drop the oars in the water, children. It's alright. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Drop the oars in the water, children. Drop the oars in the water, children. Drop your oars in the water. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the ride.
Yay, that was amazing. I love Leah. Yay, Leah. I like just the term, drop the oars in the water, and had that little Caribbean flow. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for my long delayed vacation. All right. So thinking about that, because April is the month of, the stepping out into the unknown. And we started this month off with our labyrinth journey. And that, was sort of a metaphor for our life's journey toward the center, which is toward the center of our being. And the cool part about the labyrinth was that no matter what twists and turns you went on, as long as you kept walking, kept moving forward, you would reach your destination. And isn't that so appropriate for this time in our lives? A lot of times we think, I'm scared, I'm going to stay still, I'm not going to move. And that's not really the way to go. That's what today's talk is all about. So this journey that we're on is powered by, of course, the divine. And last month we did talk about our vision. We talked about catching the vision for our lives, where we created a process where we would commit to our daily practice of catching the vision. And what that involved, as you remember, was going within and asking the question, what is Spirit's divine idea for my life? What can I let go of that no longer serves me? What must I embrace in order to have this happen? And then, how can I step into it? Is there anything more? So these are the things we're asking, and we're listening closely to the answer of Spirit, and we're navigating that path. So dropping the oars in the water is really cool, because if you don't, it's kind of hard to get that boat to move. And unless you have some sails, which we did talk about when we talked about the winds of change, how the different winds on that lake would just see 70 different winds that are all named and have their times that they're coming, and how the sailors would look for the ripple in the water and head over to that part so that they could pick up, so the wind can move them in the direction that they want to go. And so that whole oars in the water thing is just brilliant. But it brings me to today. We're stepping out and stepping up. Stepping out of what? Well, that's the thing. When we talk about change your thinking, change your life, it sounds easy, but it's not that simple. Change your thinking. Yes, change your thinking, because, as we talked about before, if you look around you, everything, your whole life, all the outer circumstances are the result of what you've thought and done up till this moment. So for some of us, that's good news. For some of us, that's bad news. See, the thing is, it's always good news. Even if you are in depth of consequences, at the depth of despair, some call it rock bottom, well, now you can say, so that didn't work. Let me choose a different path. Because we are always at choice, even if we don't like where we are. We can always choose again. So these are the things. So we're stepping out of what? Stepping out of our comfort zone. So what is this? What is this comfort zone thing? Well, Marianne Williamson has a quote. She says, and I guess I could pull up some quotes. I'll pull them up and show them to you real quick, because I feel like that's the best approach. So this, Marianne Williamson, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. No. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. So the comfort zone. You see, why would our light frighten us? Well, here's the deal. The comfort zone is a tricky place to be, because we know that if we're not living our highest, well, at least we're comfortable-ish. Yeah, it might hurt a little bit, but I'd rather live with the pain that I know than the pain that I don't know. And so there we are, we stay in our comfort zone, even as it becomes less and less comfortable. Because change, as humans, we tend to not want change. We all have had this discussion with ourselves, with each other, in classes, online, in meetings. We know that change comes, because that's the only constant in life, is change. And so you could either resist it and have a fight, and you know what those look like. When we resist change, life brings up bigger and bigger reasons for us to have to change. I've heard a quote once. Dr. Michael Beckwith says, well, pain pushes you to change until the vision pulls you. So which one would you rather have? And I'm like, okay, vision, please. Because I've had, and I know some of you have had too, everyone can think back. of times when your intuition told you, no, not that one, let that one go. But you said, but I want to have fun. That's what I want. So I want that thing. And you go for it. And then something bigger. You get a bigger example, a bigger message. No, maybe it's in a dream, right? Or maybe your friends tell you, I'm not sure that's the right thing. And you go, no, I'll be fine. It's what I want. I'm going to go for it. And so as you move forward on this thing that you kind of know better, you're knowing a little more and a little more as you get down that path. This is not the right choice. But now you feel like, geez, I've already invested so much time or money or whatever it is that you've invested. And you feel like, I might as well keep going. Well, that never works out. Just going to say it. So many of us, me included, we have to get further down the path where it's so obvious that there are neon signs pointing, go back. This is the wrong way. And after much pain and anguish, finally, it's like, oh, I guess that was the wrong way. The cool part is we can always choose again. Just because we chose the wrong, not wrong, we learned something. Just because we chose a path that wasn't ideal for our journey doesn't mean that now we're stuck. We can always choose again, and then in each one of those items, there is a lesson. There's a lesson for us. In fact, I would like to say that in everything we do, before we do the thing that we think we want to do, we can check in. And this is what I'm learning on my journey, is that I have tools. And when I was younger, a year ago, no, I'm kidding. When I was younger, I didn't think I had the tools, or I didn't really believe. I heard people talking, ministers would explain it. I would have a class, I would take the class, I would pass the class. But I still didn't really practice. So what I'm learning more and more now is that I do have all the tools. I do already know. I just need to act like it. So here's another quote, and I love this one. I'll share it with you because it's got a lot of words. And I need you to kind of see this. All right. From Carolyn Meese in Sacred Contracts. She says, fulfilling our highest potential actually means acting on your highest or deepest truths each moment of your life. This involves our occupation, our relationships, our health, and maybe even what movie we want to see tonight. So every little tiny detail of decision, right? We're going to act on our highest and our deepest. That's what she's saying. So how do we do it? Well, weigh all your decisions against this one criterion. Each choice either serves your highest good or detracts from it. Using that simple guide can take a lot of mystery out of your everyday decisions. But hold on, I have to then ask you this. How do you know what your highest good is? Because here's the deal. We live in a community, in a whole, there's a smaller community, a microcosm, and then there's the U.S., and then there's humanity as a whole, which would have you think that your highest may look a certain way. If you are, not cisgender, meaning you are not a binary, you're not male or female, you're something in between both, you're neither or, then you're told to pick one. Or you're told to be what it is on your birth certificate, period. That highest is not your highest. If you are actually not heterosexual, well, that highest good, the man and the woman on top of the cake with the tuxedos and the white dress and cutting of the cake, that's not your highest good, but you'll be told that is. So when we're on this path, we have to be careful. Whose highest good are we talking about? Ask that question first. And then sit down and let your highest, that innermost flame that we meditated on earlier, let that inspiration from the divine, who made you just the way you are, does not need you to conform to anything outside. That is what informs our next step. That is what then we look at and say, does this serve me? Now, I'm here to tell you, you can fake it, you can pretend, and that will be okay for a while. but there will come a time. And I don't know if it's going to come sooner or later. The kids seem to be getting it sooner. I love the way the world is going as I watch people awaken to, there's not only one way to be. Why are everybody's trying to be super skinny and really white? Why? That is not for everybody. Everybody who thinks that they're not good enough the way they stand in front of themselves in the mirror, if they think that, it's because they're trying to line up with someone else's idea of the highest good. So before you go take Carolyn Meese's advice and make your choices based on the highest good, you better figure out whose highest good we're talking about. And that's why we have our principles. Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes and all the people in New Thought already figured this out. I love that I'm taking classes because as I read the things they read, I come to the conclusions that I realize, they've been saying that the whole time, duh. But it's all right. It's good because I'm not just slurping from the straw that has been passed to me. I'm actually going and making my own decisions, or at least I think so. I mean, every moment I learn something new and I'm like, what? So here's an example. I'm reading this, as you know, I'm reading the Gnostic Gospel because I'm taking that class right now. And so what that involves is the Dead Sea Scrolls that were found in the 40s that have to do with all the books that never made it to the canon. And the canon are the 4 Gospels that we see in the New Testament. But that's just a small fraction of what was decided upon by a committee of people who might have had some ulterior motives regarding, how to keep the people at a certain space, right? Don't teach them too much, don't show them too much. So as I'm reading through, this one section talks about the law, how Jesus said, there's only one law that you have to cover. And if you do this one thing, everything else, you covered it, right? And so that one thing was love. Love. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love as. So he's saying, as I have shown you love, you do that same type of love, and that is the law. And so, whereas the Old Testament might have had the 10 commandments, so-called commandments, the idea, though, is that you need love and law. You need law, that's true, but you can't be constricted by it. So, and the point I'm getting to is Ernest Holmes wrote a book called Love and Law. And I'm like, is that where? Okay, I see. I get it. Because in Science of Mind, what we teach is love is how it happens. And love is what happens. And the law is how it happens. So you think of law as, some might call it physics, because you put a seed in the soil and then you get a plant. Well, that's just biology. So that would be what we would call law, right? This is just the laws of the universe. And gravity. You jump up, you can defy gravity for about a second, and then boom, you're back down on the ground. These kinds of things are spiritual law too, cause and effect. Some people call it karma. Some people call it manifesting your thoughts. So we're back at the beginning. Thoughts are things. The law creates things out of our thoughts. The law creates life that we live, the life that we've chosen, the conditions that are around us, out of our thoughts. So we need to do it all with love, or else you might end up with something you didn't necessarily think that you wanted. So here's an example. In the book I'm reading, it says, you need both law and freedom. Security and freedom. Security and freedom. I'm still learning it. You guys come on, you're going to learn it with me. So here's the deal. It's like, how when you have a child, they need security, but they also need freedom. We've all seen this. If you have a child that has all freedom, but no rules, you see, the law provides the security. When you have rules, you enforce those rules, and what does the kid do? Fight like hell, excuse my terms, to get out of it. And they're going to buck up against you every second. Well, they're supposed to. And what are we supposed to do as parents? Hold the rules. Keep them in place. Keep those boundaries. Because if you've ever seen a child that's been raised with no boundaries, you know what that looks like. It looks like a hot mess. That person doesn't even know who they are. They've been given no limits. They're just, and they tend to sign up for things that are full of rules. Rules, rules, rules. They love a set of rules. Why? Because they were raised without many enforced rules. So that is kind of the way it is with our spiritual study. We know that there's a law that we follow, we practice, that we understand the law, spiritual law. The law of cause and effect, some people call it the law of attraction. There are many spiritual laws that we follow, and we know what happens when we get off track. It's that, the consequences, and that's what keeps us coming back. Now let's talk about freedom, because freedom is required. Let's back to the kid. If you were to just give the kid a lot of laws with no freedom, well, you get a child who's imprisoned. They're terrified to take a step. They're terrified. And so they're afraid of change because they've come to rely on a strict set of rules. And then they get mad if they see other people that have not been raised by those rules. In fact, they might go to those people and start proselytizing and try to force them, the other people who are bad people who aren't following my rules, because I've got the one truth and you don't, so you need to do what I do. And they might start, trying to beat them up or hang them or find a reason to do some crusade. I don't know. It's not pretty when there is no freedom. So you've got security/law on one side and love/freedom on the other side. And together, this is the whole. This is what we live and move and have our beingness in. So when Marianne Williamson says that we're not afraid, we're not afraid that we're not powerful. What we're afraid of is that we are powerful. Because then if we're powerful, well, we haven't been really, as a culture, typical religiosity has not given us that kind of anticipation that we are the light. We are the ones. No, they've taught us that we're to look upon Jesus as the great exception, and only Jesus does it. So maybe if I throw all my energy towards Jesus, then I'll just hand over all my everything, and then I point to that, and that's my Savior. But what the actual words are is you can do. Jesus says, this, what I'm doing, you can do, and more. Through love. Love your neighbor as yourself, and as he has in the world. And so that is how we do it. Love is the greatest law. Love is the only law. And so we just need to get better at it. We need to get so good at it that we're okay with our strong, with our light, with our power. We can own it. Our greatest fear will not be that we're powerful. That will be our humbling mission to go ahead and use this power which we've been given to make the world a better place. And I see it happening. I see things changing. I knew for sure that this whole George Floyd, that I knew for sure that guy would get off free again. I was just like, oh Lord, and I was like, wait, what? Guilty? Huh? So maybe it's working? Well, we can't keep can't take our eye off of that either. So when we sit and we know the truth about ourselves, and we step out of our comfort zone, we step up to the challenge. And that could look any kind of way. Each of us are born with a divine purpose. And we have to shed away all the things that other people put on us and go back to that divine purpose and start living from that, loud and proud from that truth. And we can get things to shift. Is it hard? Yes. Is it necessary? Yes. We must do this every day in every way. So what do we do? How do we do it? Well, there are some things that you can do. Let's look at a quote from Ernest Holmes. So Ernest says, well, here's how you do it. We must climb over the rocks of unbelief. We must pass around the barriers of doubt and plunge into the stream with faith. All right, so I have a story. You remember Indiana Jones in one of those movies? It's a blur in the back of my mind, but I do remember Indiana Jones and his dad going for this the Ark of the Covenant. I don't know the details. Help me. So I just remember this one part. He's gone through all these different mazes and these 3 different challenges, and he has to save his dad. So he's about to cross this great, vast ravine, and it says to step out across the ravine. And he's like, yeah, but there's no bridge there. There's not even a footpath. There's not even a log for him to balance. I'm supposed to step out? And so here's my point. That wasn't the first challenge. He did step out. And as soon as he stepped out, underneath his foot appeared a path. As soon as he stepped off of the ledge, boop, there was a path underneath him. Now, there's a reason why this wasn't at the beginning of the movie. Because when you're at the beginning of your spiritual journey, no one's going to ask you to step off the edge of the ledge, because that's probably not good for you. You haven't built up all of the experiences. Your faith, I could not expect your faith, if it's real, to go from 0 to 100 and go step right off of that. I would think something's wrong with that teaching if that's what they wanted you to do. Run, don't do that one. But in this movie, it's a good analogy, because after having gone through all of these different challenges and mysteries, and he had to solve riddles and puzzles, and he got a feel for how this works. And I feel like he was building his faith as he went on the path. And I feel like that was the final test, to step over the edge there. And so then maybe if we're using that analogy for our spiritual path, wouldn't it be good enough if we just said, all right, for today, just for today, I'm going to start my day with meditation. And I'm going to ask Spirit, what's its highest idea of me? And then I'm going to just keep checking back in during the day. And I'm going to say no to things that feel bad. And instead of complaining to people, instead of agreeing to things and complaining about it, I'm going to start to say, respectfully, no, thank you. Little tiny things to help us get our lives back on track. Anytime we're feeling bad, we just notice that and gently nudge ourselves back to our path, back to our truth, our inner truth that we've been cultivating. Those are the baby steps. We don't have to step off of the edge of the ravine. Not today, not tomorrow, not anytime soon. It's just those tiny little things that we can do for ourselves. So my call to you is to, if you don't already have it, just start a morning meditation, 5 minutes. Just give me 5. And there are some apps that you can download. Insight Timer is one of them, where you can just set the timer 5 minutes. And if that doesn't work for you, try a little yoga, stretching, Tai Chi, anything movement-wise. If it's too weird to sit by yourself and be quiet, that's fine too. The idea is to quiet the outer world and go within a little more deeply. So my second thing I would like you to do, not only meditate every day, can you please for me say an affirmation? Just anything like, I am whole, perfect, and complete. Just say it in your head as often as you like. And if you can do that, just say an affirmation, it's possible that the negative voices that tend to run on repeat like a, stuck CD player, they will start to be replaced. And then, so those are the 2 to do on your own. And then as you move through your spiritual path, I'd love for if you took some classes with us here at CSL Leesburg and learned how to do a spiritual mind treatment. But those are, those are formal versions of the first 2 things I told you, meditation and affirmations. So, and just repeating this practice on a daily basis. The time's going to go by anyway. Just do it. And then look back and see the path that you were on, and look at the amazing places that you've come. We're stepping out and we're stepping up and we're doing our next best thing. Deal? All right, let's go within and do a prayer. I close my eyes and just know that the divine is in and through and around everything, everywhere. We are not without the presence of Spirit. There's no place where Spirit is not. We can't hide, nor would we want to. In each and every one of us, there is that flicker, that little flame of the divine. So, since we are one with the divine, then it follows that we're one with each other. That there is no separation. We're all one. As we look at each other, we know we are looking at ourselves. It is this divine compassion that allows us to love one another. And so I speak my word that now, right here, right now, love is the order of the day. That anyone who has been affected by dis-ease, disorder, or an idea of separation, whether the idea of being the perpetrator or the recipient of any sort of bigotry or otherness that has been foisted upon our culture, I speak my word that those lines are dissolving right now. They are being erased right here, right now, as I speak, because humanity, you, are awakening to our true oneness. We realize that it's kind of ridiculous to make other people wrong, less than, or other. They're not other, they are ourselves. I speak my word that humanity is awakening to this each and every moment, everywhere, in the courts of law, in government, every part, in teachers and students alike, nurses and doctors and patients, and every profession is awakening to the truth that we are all one. And that this love is healing. It pushes out all darkness, all separation. It is my vision for the world. And I know that as I hold this thought, it is in harmony with the truth about Spirit itself. Spirit is not divided against itself. It does not war with itself. So I am just simply stating that anything unlike Spirit is dissolved into the nothingness from which it comes. So having spoken my word, I give thanks. Master Teacher Jesus said, just give prayer and give thanks as if it is already so. And so I do. I give thanks that this is our truth and it is already done. I release my word into the law, knowing that it is so. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. Okay, and Leah, well, come on back.
Who I am today will not be who I am tomorrow, and who I am tomorrow will keep changing every day. And all the things I learned might fill my heart with joy or sorrow, and everything I learned might make me want to change my ways. Oh, there is nothing, no thing that ever stays the same. That is the one thing that life does guarantee. There is no one on earth, no one who knows what path their life will take, and no one knows what I will see as I keep becoming me. family you were raised in does not dictate who you marry. The country you were born in won't decide where you are buried. And all you once believed might leave you stranded on an island where the only way back home is to abandon it as lies. And there is nothing, no thing that ever stays the same. That is the one thing, the one thing that life does guarantee. There is no one on earth, no one knows where their life will be, what path their life will take, and no one knows what I will see as I keep becoming me, becoming me. I must stay open to the change, curious and free, and always ready to be rearranged. There is nothing that ever stays the same. That is the one thing that life does guarantee. There is no one on earth, no one who knows what course their life will take, and no one knows who I will be as I keep becoming me, as I keep becoming me, as I keep becoming me, as I keep becoming.
Yes. Thank you, Leah. Tamara, wasn't that amazing?
Oh my gosh, every single Sunday,
Yeah.
it all comes together. And I'm thinking right now, stepping out, stepping up, and I am becoming me. I hope you can say that with me. So we now turn to blessing the donations that are shared today. At CSL Leesburg, we believe in the law of circulation. The donations that are shared with our center blesses everyone, those who give and those who receive. We are a tithing community, so your donations help our center, our home organization, as well as organizations that inspire us and help to further our vision of helping a world, or creating a world that works for everyone. Please look at our screen. There are so many ways to give, so it's easy to find a way that works best for you. You may also go to our website, cslleesburg.org, and click on the donate button. We thank you so much for your support. No matter how you are giving, please take that gift physically or just mentally and place it upon your heart and join us in our affirmation of oneness. The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. And so it is. These offerings are just a few of the ways that we take what we give, or what we receive, and give locally to our members and guests. So please consider joining us on Tuesday mornings for Dream Study with Charlene Banks. And you can also join us on Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock as we have our prayer and visioning session. Please feel free to join us. Stay after our service as we share our pearls, those little nuggets of our service that spoke to our hearts and our minds. And if you are a visitor, please stay and introduce yourself. We'd love to have the opportunity to officially greet you. And as we end the sacred time together, you can read the words on the screen. I step confidently into my greatness. And now place your hands over your heart and say, I am love. Point to somebody on the screen or someone near you and say, you are love. And now put your hands up in the air for some love sprinkles. It's all love. Go out, step confidently into your greatness. And thank you so much for joining us here today.